Welcome to episode 255 of The Center Ring. And yes, you guessed it. This is going to be the best episode ever. We are recapping CDL London, telling you all the action, drama, and excitement that happened. We also have a special guest on the show today. We have Wuskin from the London Royal Ravens joining us later in the show. Talk to him a little bit about their season wrapping up. And, of course, it is actually Monday, but it's Tuesday by the time you're hearing this because we're a day late, and that means Yikes of the week, and we have some good ones to get to with that. But before I do any of that, I have to tell you about the show sponsor, which you already know. You guessed it. It's the number one esports apparel brand in the universe. It is Alt Esports. Go to altesports.com and check out their new lineup. They have the Overwatch League Doodle, the E-United Summer look, which, look, I don't even care if you're an E-United fan. That's just a clean style. Like, that's guaranteed. And what better way to rep some summer apparel when stuck in quarantine still? If you're in the States. If you're anywhere else in the world, you can take those bad boys to the beach and look fresh. And then you're like, geez, what do I have? I have this cool alt hat. I have a cool alt shirt. Well, now you can get some alt shoes because they've teamed up with DC and designed their very own pair with Josh Callis, which you can actually hear our interview with Josh Callis on Alt's website if you just go to the Alt DC Shoes store page. So it's just simple as that. So you get some alt, get a little TCR action in there, get yourself a 101 Burglars hoodie produced by your very own TCR boys, and it's easy money. So there you have it, altesports.com.
Hey, this is Ian Crim6 Porter, and you're listening to The Center Ring.
Okay, so let's start.
Hello, everybody. Hello and welcome back to another edition of The Center Ring, a.k.a. TCR, a.k.a. your favorite esports podcast. This is episode 255, coming to you live and or pre-recorded from an undisclosed location. The date is July 20th, 2020. The time, 8:55 p.m. Follow us on Twitter at The Center Ring. Our website, tcr.gg, has all the other links you need, including YouTube, our Discord. Join that, be a part of that conversation, get into some community nights, some impromptu Valorant sessions. We always have those going on. And everything else that you need right there, tcr.gg. If you're listening on iTunes or any other application that lets you leave a review, go ahead and leave a review. Okay, we read them. We do enjoy them. And if you're going to be mean, be constructive and be right. Because if you're mean and you're wrong, we'll make fun of you on the show. Easy peasy. Just like that. My name is Tim. I'll be your captain for this journey into esports. And alongside me, as always, is my best friend, my brown friend. It's Anuj. What's up?
Good, dude. Coming off of a high. Really enjoyed that Wuskin interview.
Yes, it is a good one. We did delay the show a day. We made an executive decision. Normally we do this Sunday nights, as you all know. But we had some player interviews lined up today. So we were like, well, let's just do the interviews and push the show back. So Mac from New York, that will come later in the week. He had to cancel. Funny enough, players who lose are always sick.
Not feeling a little well.
Yeah,
the
they're
next
always
day.
feeling ill the next day. I don't know what's up with that, but the winning teams never cancel. But Wuksik was nice, or
Wuskin.
Wuskin, or Wuksik, either one.
Yeah, thinking CS. Got CSGO on the mind.
Got CSGO on the mind. Well, also, it doesn't help that right before the player... Listen, anytime you do a player interview, whether it be in person or like online, which is how everything is nowadays, nothing will rock your world more than right before the interview, like the PR person says their name different
Yep, I noticed that also. I was like,
And
oh, that's how you're saying it?
that is like will set me in a panic because I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I have my interview notes. I prepped for this all weekend. I was getting questions down, and then you just said his name different. Because
So
you
who's
truly
right?
don't.
Who's wrong? I'm gonna go with what we would say
Because
normally,
like,
or what we hear.
yeah, because you have I've always just Wuskin, but then she was like, Wuskin.
Yeah.
Like she put a
Yeah.
woo, not a wah. And I was like, uh-oh. So I think in the interview I said it like 5 different ways because I normally just cover my bases that way. But nothing will rock your world more than when the PR person says, "Oh, this is something something," and you're like, "Uh-oh."
Good news is, even if we said it wrong, he seemed to enjoy it.
Of course, of course. That also happened one time at ESL with Zipnix, and I remember right before the interview, I heard I think it was Sadakis said his name, but like Zipinex. And so like in that interview, I was like, oh no, like your name is already crazy. You got numbers, you got X's, you got capitalization. I don't know what's going on here.
I was gonna say, you make a name like that, you should expect people to say it wrong. You name your child Anuj, guess what? You should expect some people to say that wrong,
You
and
got
that's
my
just the way
last
it is.
name. You know,
Yeah.
you not only are you going to get it said wrong, but you're also going to get games not allowing you to use your last name because it has Jew in it, even though it has nothing to do with being Jewish. But hey, you know what, EA, NHL, you won't let me have my last name in the game, but it's really fun playing against Adolf Hitler 69. So appreciate that one. You allow that one in the game. That's a personal issue. That's another episode for
That's
the
another
salt mine.
yikes.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a salt mine there because my rant about my name. But yeah, yeah. You know, can I ask you? Can we go off on tangent if you don't mind?
Yeah, always.
And this always happens. Like now that we have kids, you know. And I don't think my wife really understood the pressure of naming a child because with us as adult gamers, like choosing your screen name is like it's important, but you know you can always change it,
Yeah.
right? And you know me, I like to switch things up. Am I too deep? I just want to go by Tim in games now.
You know, like, unless you can, like, it's one of those hashtag get into games, where you could, like, Discord, where you could put like Tim hashtag 1279. Like, you should never expect to get that
Well, I
name.
know, but that's fine, and then I'm
Yeah.
okay with those certain games. But like I've hit a point in my adult life now where before my name was Virus of Life, which was the name of a Slipknot song, and I had that forever, like throughout grade school and high school and everything. Whenever Xbox Live came out,
A
that was
little
it.
hardcore.
And that's why I got rid of it because I was like, okay, when I was like 13, that was badass. And then I went by Virus, which also
Okay.
sounds very cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then like when I got to college, I was like, this sounds weird that I'm telling people my name is Virus of Life. That's way too epic of a name.
It's like too deep.
Yeah, and like you look at me and it's just like it doesn't work.
It's like it doesn't go hand in hand. Yeah.
So
for sure.
then I went through like a handful of different names here and there, but nothing ever stuck. And then I was like, well, I remember it's when I got the Wii U and I had to make my Nintendo name. And I was like, I don't want to do Virus. I don't want to do, Virus of Life. I like pirates because I think I was like on a pirate kick at that time in life. And I like mushrooms, not the drug kind, which doesn't help my case because everyone's like, oh, shrooms. And I'm like, no, sir. I just like mushrooms. Because I think it was like, I just probably had mushroom pizza or something.
Tim's like Tim's the sober guy on the show.
Yeah, really. Despite popular belief. And so then I just went with pirate mushroom and it's shortened to pea shroom over time. And that's it. That's it.
Look, hey, I get it. I used to go by Gloomer. Gloomer and Stalker were the two CS:GO
Stalker's a
names I used.
terrible one.
Horrendous. You can't walk around telling people your name is Stalker. So slowly we changed it, and it went to Jalopy for a couple of years because I used to drive a really shitty car back in the day. And then I upgraded in life, and I felt like I should go from Jalopy to Spiffy, and that's where we've stuck.
So I did Shabby.
Now it's like too hard to like change,
And that's the issue. Is like I've gotten gifts now from the show with P Shroom like on the back of the jersey. And I'm like,
Yeah,
well,
you can't change.
I feel like I'm in.
Yeah.
But I also hate it when like these media PR people are like, what's your name on Discord? And they're like, my name is Robert Smith. What's yours, Tim? I'm like, it's P Shroom. Like, but they know. Like, you know, they're getting you with Streamer Girl 69, so
Again, it doesn't help that the word shroom is in that name. You got Jew in your
doesn't
last
help.
name, you got shroom in your
I really
your
look
gamer tag.
yes, like they think Shroom, I don't know. This is
100%.
there comes a time in a gamer's life where you always have to question, is my gamer tag giving the wrong message? I don't long story short, I don't care. I'm not going to change it. I'm too far in. I got too many things with P Shroom on it, but just my daily life struggles.
I would have asked you to change it if you had like XX P Shroom XX or P Shroom 69, but P Shroom definitely.
Now, see, if I had P Shroom 69, I would never change it. I would lock it down. I get that
That's your name.
tattooed. But no, yeah, so there you go. I always love hearing other people's old screen names. If you have any really embarrassing gamer
Your
tags
aim
that
names.
you
Give us your aim names. That's
oh
what I
my
want
god.
to know.
Aim, I never had a bad aim name. Mine was always for the longest time Gunsmoke, and I just thought that sounded cool. I didn't know it was a TV show at the time.
I was Playa 2288 for Emmett Smith and Michael Irvin.
Okay, see, and that's not terrible either.
It's the word playa.
Playa is bad,
yeah,
but I was in a Zoid RPG, and that's where I got Gunsmoke from.
the most difficult thing in life is choosing a name in an MMO. It's more difficult than having a child. Choosing a name in an MMO that you cannot change your name is the most haunting situation logging in for the first time.
Point in case, we said we're starting to play Diablo 3 again because the new season's just started. You can't change names in Diablo. Diablo now is like approaching what?
300 years old?
Diablo
This one is at
3.
least.
When did Diablo
years
3
old?
come out? 2012. So at that time, I was still only 21 years old? Yeah, 21 years
Diablo 3
old.
came out in 2012?
Yeah.
Holy shit, Blizzard. Release freaking Diablo 4. What are you doing?
I know. So that came out in
That old?
2012. 21-year-old Tim thought a lot of things were funny. That 30-year-old Tim is like, what were you doing?
Yeah.
So I had to delete some names. Not going to say which. Some might not be deemed appropriate for 2020. So I had to delete some names. None of the really bad ones, but, they definitely checked off some boxes.
I'm adding that to Yikes of the Week that Diablo came out in 2012 and we're still
Not even
on the same
we
game.
didn't even get Immortal yet. We don't even have Immortal. So anyways, yes, the journey of trying to find a good gamer tag as you progress in life is always rough. And I've come full circle where now I just want to use my normal name.
Okay.
I just want to go by Tim.
Maybe we go by Tim and a Nuge at some point. We'll see.
And that's what all the listeners do, because on the show I've never, I'm trying to think of, like Sadakist. Sadakist, that's not his normal name, but that's what everyone just knows him by at this point.
But most of the people we talk to in the gaming world are never going by their normal name.
No, that's what I'm saying. So it's like, it's weird that I feel this way, but I also feel like all our listeners just call me Tim anyways, because that's what
You're
we go
still
by on the
about
show.
10 years older than most of the people we talk to. Remember that.
This is true.
You're both gamers, but there's a difference in age.
This is why whenever we talk to an owner, we use their normal name, because I'm like, it's weird, Mike, calling you Hastro. I feel like we didn't meet in a game, so it's weird calling you by your, because I have real life friends who I now know in real life, but I met online who still, I have still friends that call me Virus because that's what they know me by. We have Donut.
Tell them that's weird. To call you Virus still at this point, it's a little.
See, but that's
at least go to P-Shroom.
They've known me that way for a while now, but gaming, man. Gaming as adults is weird.
I'm guessing those are console friends.
Oh yeah. Yeah, console friends for sure. So
you're gonna buy the PS5?
It's a discussion for another time, but eventually, I always tell myself I'm not going to be a console scrub, and I'm not especially going to be a day one console scrub. But then they hit you with that new Spider-Man game, and you're like, shit, I'm going to be a day one console scrub.
Nowadays, there's so many games are like
that's the thing
co-releasing.
I
right?
don't.
You get it on PC at some point. Usually.
And especially as a PC gamer, yeah, like Prong Attack says in chat, like Xbox. Although I did think about going back to an Xbox with these next gen. Because
everything is going to be released on PC.
That's
for
the
Xbox,
thing.
so.
Like everything now, like even PlayStation exclusives are getting on PC.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, why? I mean, there's really very little to commit to a system at this point.
It's just because we've done it for 25 plus years.
It just feels weird not having
Nintendo,
one.
It feels weird not getting the next gen.
Honestly, I think I'm just going to go with PC and then just the Nintendo system. Because Nintendo is just different, right? They have different games or whatever, but
you're not getting those on PC anytime soon.
No. So I maybe eventually when like you get one of those crazy Black Friday deals for like $300 and the top 3 games of the year, but no, I think I have self-control enough to withstand day one purchase.
Okay, I'm with you.
So there's that.
We'll hold each other sane in those moments of need.
Yeah, that's another one. For the longest time, you couldn't even change your PlayStation name. So I have like 5 different PlayStation names just because you couldn't change it. So rough times. Anyways, speaking of rough times, let's get into some yikes of the week because we had some big old yikes coming out of esports. As always, never fails. Seems to always be someone embarrassing themselves. I'll let you go with yours because this was a carryover from last episode that we said, no, this is juicy enough to save.
It's always funny when you start off with this. The Global Esports Federation, that's already a yikes in itself, right?
Yeah.
Like the fact that this is even exist. Tim, they have recently partnered with the World Squash Federation. And you ask yourself, why? Like, why would the Global Esports Federation partner with the World Squash Federation? It's to work on developing a squash presence within esports.
Yeah, that's what esports needs. That's what's holding us back.
Even if you're doing this, you restrain from tweeting this. You work on this behind the scenes. You try and build up that presence. And when it's there, okay, let's announce it to the world. But this was just too easy. I read this and I was like, man, they don't want to be taken seriously at all. Like they're not even trying. And so for that reason, this is a lot of federations I just noticed. The Global Esports
that's very
Federation,
official.
the World Squash Federation. Welcome to Yikes of the Week, my friend, because you earned it. You earned it for sure.
I really feel like we need to capitalize on this. Like if we just call ourselves the official podcast of esports, like who's to say we're not?
The official podcast of esports TCR Federation.
Yeah, we're the official podcast of esports federation. Like who's to say? Like it just seems like that's it, right? You can just there are certain words
thing is,
that
Tim, we don't have to like lie. You know, if we say we're the number 1 esports podcast, it's because we're the number 1 esports podcast. Like,
that is
we don't
true.
need federation.
That is true. We don't have to joke about it, but if we just threw federation should not be a copyrightable word. That should be like handed down from like government. Because it's a very official word that I feel like these guys here just said, hey, let's just start it up. And the thing is no one takes them serious. That's the other thing. Like no one is taking these guys serious. They're being so serious about it is that their first partner is with a squash federation.
You know, again, they made it too easy because I don't even. Is there a freaking squash game that I am unaware of?
Like a video game?
I mean, what else are you doing in esports? What are you trying to get like squash to be a popular sport amongst esports athletes?
Yeah, it's a weird partnership. I've been to a lot of esports event in my life, a lot of gaming events, a lot of conventions. Squash was never one of them. I don't believe I've ever saw squash at DreamHack. I saw laser.
I'd rather see Mario Tennis, like Mario Aces, as an esport than a squash game.
Yeah,
like,
there's a lot of games that would have made more sense, but squash is not one of them. That's definitely a yikes. Definitely a yikes. My yikes comes from the land of TBS, formerly known as those who actually had E-League, where they actually played esports. Do you remember E-League? Whatever happened to them? Like they were
that was pretty cool, you know. Like I thought they had something going there. I really did. Like I didn't think that would just flake out the way it did, but it's like
They have taken it in
gone.
a much where E-League was originally like the outlet of esports for TBS and mainstream TV, it's almost now just turned into like an outlet of gaming. Like it's just a brand now that they use rather than like an entity, if that makes sense. Because I mean, I couldn't tell you. I mean, maybe the major was the last time they went from doing anything with Counter-Strike. You'll see them do a
Richard
lot.
Lewis on the desk. I mean, they had
Yep.
like
Yep.
they were well set up.
They had yeah, they did a lot for Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, I believe. I could be making that up. But yeah, you're right. I mean, as soon as Richard Lewis got bullied off the desk from the FGC, that kind of like I feel like they just took a different direction at that point. And now it's like you'll see they'll do like FIFA, they'll do Magic, they'll do some things with Gears, but not what they've fallen. Okay.
Your first mistake is listening to any advice that you're getting from the FGC community right now. Like that's a no-go.
Yeah. Not the best one to take advice from. But how, Anuj? How did we go from hosting a CS:GO major, of a historical major where you had the first NA team ever win a major, to now you are hosting the Sims Sparked presented by E-League? This is a Sims, you heard me, a Sims reality show. We have come full circle. We are now, I don't make fun of people watching people play video games because we get that a lot. Why would you ever watch someone play video games? And we do a podcast about it. We don't make fun of that. However, if we're going to make a reality competition show out of people playing The Sims, I might just make fun of that. That one might be making funnable.
What are we watching exactly? Like we're literally watching people play. There's no winning in The Sims, is there?
There are competitions within the game. Now, what exactly in the trailer? It just seems. I mean, it seems like your normal type of reality show where it's like, you know, you'll have this challenge to go do something in the game and whatever, right? Maybe design a house. I have no idea. It premiered on the 17th. I surprisingly enough found something better to do.
I'm gonna have to watch one episode. I'm gonna have to at least see what the hell this is.
So that is everyone's homework for this week. It premiered on the 17th, Friday. It debuted. So I assume that means the Sims Sparked episode on Monday after it's televised, July 20th, 27th. Oh, it was actually on today. All right. The next one's the 27th. So next Monday. So it airs on Mondays, which is also not a good sign. If you are the encore casting will be on the 20th. TBS has a lot of free spaces because they are showing this thing like 3 different times.
Like no baseball on right now. They're struggling.
They are nothing going on. That's everyone's homework. So for next, let's maybe do for the next show. I can skip through an episode. For the next show, I will watch some of this just to give it a good opinion. But I could tell you right now, E-League, you went from hosting a CS:GO major to now hosting Sim reality show. Not looking good.
We better watch this soon. You're right, because I feel like this will get canceled within a few weeks.
Not looking good.
No.
So there you have it there. Let's get into our Wuskin interview, however you want to say it. As far as this goes, and then we'll get into some CDL recap though, but we just want to play this interview so we can reference some things here. But before we play the interview, let me tell you about Thrive Fantasy. Thrive Fantasy is your daily fantasy sports app for prop bets. Enter the code TCR upon sign up for an instant $10 match on your first $10 deposit, minimum of $10. I know that's a lot of numbers I threw out there. In short, you put in at least $10, you will get $10 for free. So you could pretty much walk away with $20, and that's easy money. Not only do they have esports, but they also have this new crazy thing that I heard, regular sports, and they're coming back. So get ready. You'll have plenty to bet on, but also please remember to bet responsibly. And here is Wuskin.
What is good, guys? It's going good, thank you. How are
Good.
you?
Good. Thank you for joining us. Short turnaround time from your own homestand yesterday. I know you guys had a tough loss in the semis, but after having a night to sleep on it, were you able to kind of take away any positives from the weekend?
Oh man, where do I start? I mean, there is positives. There's positives. But deep down, it is. We look at it as well. We said to each other they didn't really change anything, like in terms of standings and whatnot. Like the win, like as much as it is pride, the win or loss didn't mean much. So that's how we're trying to look at it. Even though it does hurt losing, especially like that, it's still I don't know, I'm over it.
Did it hurt a little bit more being against the fellow countrymen there in Paris?
Oh man, on the last Call of Duty title, two of those guys were my teammates as well. So it's a tough one to take, but it's okay.
Now, your performance throughout the year has been, I mean, nothing short of stellar. I mean, you've been a top performer in every event you guys have attended.
Thank you.
Your KD is obviously, it started off insane and you've kind of maintained throughout the year.
I've
What's
tried.
been the biggest thing for you to kind of hold steady, even with all the changes that we've seen to meta or anything else in the league?
The biggest thing for me, I mean, not the regarding the like obviously the meta thing like that. I feel like because that happened so much this year, I feel like I'm over it now. Like I seem to get onto the new one quick. If that makes sense, that's not really a problem. It's more of I don't know criticism if that makes or like tweets and stuff. That's probably one of the biggest things to get over because I would feel like once I quote unquote slack off, if that makes sense, people are at my neck. So that's probably the biggest thing to take, or like the biggest thing I'm not dealing with in a sense, but that's the biggest problem I see.
How do you guys feel about where your team is? As y'all are currently sitting sixth in the standings, sitting at 120 points, tied with Minnesota, who has kind of fallen back into the pack a little bit now. I believe y'all are done until champs now. I think this was
Mhm.
y'all's last event, if I'm not
Yes.
mistaken. But how do you feel about where you currently stand, and do you feel confident that you're going to hold a position outside of the bottom four?
I mean, it's obviously not the boat where we wanted to be, but despite some of the circumstances we've been dealt with this year, like inside and out, I feel like we've done well, like well, I don't want to say well, but I feel like we've done good enough to where it's like we're at champs and we're starting in a good like quote unquote good spot. So I mean I'm not too disappointed with where we're at, but I feel like we could have done better.
And I kind of want to ask, like, from a pro player's standpoint, the way champs is set up, obviously every team is involved in the final tournament of the year. Um, Knowing how the league has turned out, do you feel like everybody genuinely has a chance going into champs, or is it just a handful of teams in your mind that actually have a chance to come out on top?
Um, I feel like I feel like we I don't know. I feel like at least a good 6, 7, maybe even 8 teams. Have a good chance at winning it, especially like on this game. I feel like this game is like on the day a lot. That makes sense. Like
Mhm.
if you make it to the Sunday and your team's playing well that day, like that's all you really need. So I feel like there is a lot of teams that can win it. And I feel like this is the first time I've seen that. So it's going to be an interesting one.
I'm kind of curious because I mean, as far as your season goes, champs is what's next, like we've been discussing. With Call of Duty, it's very weird in the sense of like the lifespan is very predictable. Where, I mean, you are going into the last event for this Call of Duty. How soon are you guys already thinking about the next one? Or, how soon are you turning that page to the next game?
Yeah, that is crazy. I don't know because when you think about it, for you to say that to me, like this, we're already at
Like,
our
it's
last
done.
event.
It's over after
It's
this.
insane. So I mean, I like that's for you to say that to me. It's probably the first time I've looked at it like that, and I've not thought about it. So that will be. I'm not sure about that one. Honestly, it's mind blowing.
Without putting yourself in a position of getting fined, are you excited that the last tournament of the year is coming up for this game?
No comment.
No comment. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. That answers it. Tim and I talked about this on the last episode. We were talking about how we gave y'all a really good opportunity to win it this weekend. A, partially because obviously you're on the team and you've been incredible throughout the year. But the second reason is we've noticed that home teams, although not being a traditional homestand with everything being online, home teams have seemed to perform better in their home events. Did y'all feel any extra momentum going into the weekend that you normally wouldn't have had this not been your home event?
I mean, yeah, I feel like there's always going to be like the extra momentum because like yeah, there's your home stand, and I feel like with us especially, like I feel like we've got like a big like a lot of support as London, especially like, if it was like an actual event, like if it was in an arena and whatnot, it would mean a lot more because the supporters are wild. So yeah, I feel like that's where the extra momentum comes from. Like it's your home series, a lot of people support and you want to win. So I feel like yeah, I feel like it does make sense in a way. But like
For
this game, I feel like this is the only game you can get away with like like a home team actually win their event when they really like quote unquote shouldn't. So it's a weird one.
to not always ask a generic question about how are you dealing with COVID, but I am kind of curious for you because this would have been the one weekend that you guys got to play at home, like your actual home. Did it? Is it kind of impacting you guys at all, being the Europeans that have to stay in North America? Like, were you looking to being playing at home a little more with the how the cities actually have teams now?
I mean no, because I don't know, like that's not. I don't know how to say that because I don't think we would have gone home anyway, if that makes sense. Like the only times we would have gone home this year is both events. They're both home series events.
Hmm.
Other than that, we still probably would have stayed because of practice. We probably
Okay.
would have still stayed in the US. So yeah,
So it would have been more just a nice little vacation to get to go
yes,
home in that
yeah,
sense.
yeah. Like after the event, like if we was at the event yesterday, like for example, I would have gone home and I would have been at home now. So that's the only bonus to it, really.
Now, did you move to the States after you joined the CDL, or were you living in the States prior?
I moved to the States the year before the CDL,
Ye-
so I was on reciprocity.
Yeah, yep.
And
So
they
your
moved
last
us
year
out
with them.
to Vegas, and I stayed there for a year, which was an experience. And now we're here.
How has it been being in the States throughout the COVID situation? How have you guys been
Wow.
able to handle it? Has it made it incredibly tough for you guys?
Yeah, yeah, it has been tough. We're very fortunate to be in a decent position. Like our jobs are, this is what we do anyway. So like we're playing online most of the time. So for us to still be able to do this, we can't complain. But we're used to sitting in our homes all day, like as bad as it sounds. So in a way we are grateful that we're still here and we're still working. So we don't
Most
really stress
definitely.
too much about it.
I'm
You know,
always I'm
go ahead, Tim.
I was gonna say I'm always curious, and I would hate myself if I didn't ask you this, Wuskin, while I finally have a chance to talk to you. Your team's facial hair seems to be in sync. Is this internal discussion or is it just happenstance?
I mean, this is the first time I've ever thought of that. This is the first time
Yo,
anyone said that to me.
you need to go
So, yeah.
back and when you're watching VODs next time, practicing for champs, just bring it up. See if the guys have noticed. You guys probably haven't even noticed it.
Yeah, they're probably going to laugh when I say that, to be honest. Because I doubt they've heard that before. I'm actually intrigued. Like, I'm actually going to go out my way now and look for that.
It's crazy. I've noticed it, and I'm like, I wonder if they know that all of their facial hair is like the same.
I'm going to have to look.
Okay, all right. Just
The
wondering.
things that the fans catch, huh?
I love that.
I want to switch gears for a moment because it's been such a hot topic this week. Again, I know some of this stuff may be a little bit more difficult to discuss, but obviously Octane from Seattle had a lot of choice words towards the game, the league, the way CDL is kind of handled itself. Have you experienced any similar issues without getting too in depth on it? Obviously, have you experienced some of the hardships that he's discussing?
They say I like deep down, our team have probably experienced the most like problems from the league, and I'm not one to, I'm not going to stress about getting fined. I'm not going to worry about that. So I'll say what I feel like I'm saying. But I don't know if he's noticed. We played FaZe like 2-3 home series ago, and we loaded into map 1. Like the map's not even started. Like bearing in mind the countdown we're still counting down, and we're saying to him, Scraps is like my bro, Scraps isn't there, and they don't like the game doesn't get ended. We go into and then that's it. The game just finishes. I think we got like 10 points or whatever, and we went 1-0 down. There was no replay or anything. So like he's not experienced anything compared to what we've experienced. Like that, as bad as it sounds, like what they experienced, obviously issues, but we didn't even load into a game, and we got forfeited map 1. You know, like their experience the other day was against us, and obviously it is bad for not getting a replay, but ours was way worse when we got it. So I don't know.
I'm sure you guys are obviously voicing your complaints, when things like this happen and whatever other issues, that have happened to you guys. I'm sure y'all have voiced your complaints, whether it be to admins or people within the league. Do you feel like they're listening and will correct some of these issues going into the second season, or do you feel like it's falling on deaf ears a little bit right now?
But I mean, that's one thing I've noticed myself. Of even the little tiny things like when I'm streaming myself, or I was in somebody's stream chat and I said something, regarding CDL. I feel like it always comes full circle and it comes back round. So I feel like there always is somebody watching. So I wouldn't be surprised if things get done.
Yeah, and that's obviously what we're hoping for as well for you guys.
Yeah.
Who is the biggest sleeper going into champs? We've asked a lot of players this, and we've actually got one team that's been brought up a lot. To you, who is the biggest sleeper team going into champs that people should keep an eye out for outside of your, obviously you guys are going to always project yourselves to win. So outside of you guys being in that mix, who's another sleeper team out there that has a chance of winning it all that people may be overlooking?
Biggest sleeper? I don't know. It depends. If I want to say OGLA, because I feel like they've gotten a lot better. But that's if I'm only going to say that is if they're still 100% trying, if that makes sense. You've seen Slash's tweets and whatnot. In a way, it looks like he's give up. So if he hasn't and the team's still giving it 110, then I don't know. I'd give a sleeper to them.
It's funny that you bring up Slasher. Obviously, we follow all of you guys on Twitter closely, and he's been very vocal. And that kind of leads me to the next talking point. Then is like the GA system the way it is right now. Are you a fan of the way GAs are currently done, or is there another? So then I'll follow up off of that. Is how would you like to see GAs be done?
First of all, note like anything regarding teams or players could not be calling shots. I've always said this. It's no matter what you say or what you tell me, there's got to be some sort of bias thing in there. They're bringing it up for a reason. So I've always disagreed with that. I've every GA that's gone on this year, 9 times out of 10, I've totally disagreed with it. And I'm not even in the chat that it goes down in. I never have been. And there's a reason for that. So I don't agree with it at all. But
is it better now rather than having the CDL just manage that process? Like if you were playing with just strictly the CDL rule set, would that be a better option in your mind than the way the GA system currently is?
Probably not, because then you're looking at some of the stuff that would be in the game.
Like
for example, I don't deep down the MP5's got a damage attachment. I think we're still using now, so stuff like that I feel like we shouldn't be using. But there's some things that like I've got to be out, and that's one of them. Even though it isn't at the minute, but some of GAs I agree with, but 9 times out of 10 I just disagree with them.
Why has that? So from a fan's perspective, we see that, and we our sentiments are the same as yours, right? Like there's no way there can be 100%, unbiased going into this when players that are actively playing are involved in that process. So if we see it as fans, and we've heard the same sentiment from several players that also seem to have the same frustrations as you do, why hasn't there been a change in that process? Like you're a senior player now, right? You've been around for a long time, competed at the highest level, and now have proven to be one of the best in the game. So like, is there not enough pull from your side of things in the sense of like more people agreeing with how you feel, or just why has a change never been made to this setup?
I feel like so what happens is, this is what I've seen, there's a chat, I think we like a person from each team in it, and someone will randomly bring some shit up, like let's say a perk you can't use or whatever, or it should be GA'd or a gun or something, and then a vote happens. So let's say nine teams wanted to thing out that, so that means automatically the other teams that are left who have voted no, they're like that. Then everyone basically goes against them. Then if you don't agree with the other 9, you're getting blacklisted. That makes
Yeah.
sense. And that obviously, like, that's what it doesn't make sense to me. So you've basically got to agree with the GA, otherwise you ain't practicing. So I don't know.
So there was the talks, obviously, of FaZe being one of the teams that was blacklisted prior to the event, right? Like that,
Yep.
they came up several times.
They said they were
So
going to the org, right? I'm pretty
yeah,
sure.
the
Yeah.
AUG was kind of the big thing,
Mhm.
and BZ was talking about that. And so for your team, knowing, saying what you're saying now, were y'all one of the teams that blacklisted them
Nope.
because they went against the GAs?
No, that's what I'm like. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think we ever got an opinion on that. But that's how. So let's say the teams that are agreeing, that's how they just assume straight away. Like, if you go against it, you're getting blacklisted. Like, half the teams probably didn't even say they're blacklisting them, or some teams would have because they've obviously gone against the GA. So that's how it works. But we never once said we were blacklisting FaZe. We never agreed with that.
Yeah. So it just seems like it's ran a lot on peer pressure. Then it's almost
Yeah, I feel like it's the same like group of people trying to call shots, if that makes sense.
Well, Wuskin, I want you to take the GA by the balls next year and get
Oh
that
yes.
changed, okay?
We've
Like
always-
we want to see
Yeah.
the change too, and we think you have the power to do that. So we would
Okay.
love to see the GA system be a more fair system, because it does seem it's a little crazy in our minds the way that it's currently ran. Like it almost just seems like unethical to a certain extent, the way
Yep.
it's currently done.
Yeah, for sure.
It's also, I've always said too, and Wuskin, you have my full support for this. Okay, if anyone tells you in champs that you can't, you tell them Tim from TCR said it was okay.
I've got you.
If you're in champs and you get to the finals and say it's like down to the last round to win it all, I want you guys to pull out every GA breaking build you can, and just, I mean, it's for the champs. Like, the season's over. You'll
For a
move on to
million.
the next Call of Duty. It's over.
Yep, for $1 million.
Yeah,
You should have a loadout
break
set
everything.
called FGAs, and on that last round, you all just sync up and just go ham.
Literally, I might have to imagine
just
that.
for
I
fun.
think I would get some hate for that.
Just for fun, yeah. Just to spice it up a little bit for
I
the
think
off
next year I would not have one scream next year.
It's funny because we're talking about, obviously a lot of the negatives have been voiced out there. One thing I am curious about is, what is one of the things that you have found to be a positive about this game that you've enjoyed?
Well, one thing I always did say, this game on LAN, even though we don't play on LAN now, I enjoy it 10 times more on LAN. That's not because of like the whole LAN online thing. It's the way this game plays on LAN compared to online is different. Like, I don't know, more M4 players would probably agree with this. On LAN, I feel like I'm literally walking on water. That's how it feels. So online, it's pretty different, you know.
Mm-hmm.
We saw that issue kind of come up in the last series versus Paris and Dallas. I think those were played on Dallas' servers.
Yeah.
So you were seeing a lot of the
Mhm.
Dallas folks with like pings of 15 across the board,
Yeah.
where Paris was playing with 80. How is something like that not?
Do you know how that works?
No, aren't y'all detailing it?
So let's say we got like them two got in the final, and then before the series starts, you do like when they go to do the vetoes,
Yep.
there'll be 3 servers, okay? And let's say so it's Paris and Dallas, Texas and LA. So they'll get if Paris will get like an LA server basically, and then there'll be the middle server will be the Dallas host, which is obviously, and that's where Dallas are from. And then there'll be like I think an East Coast, or like, with like further away from LA.
Yeah.
So obviously LA have to veto that one, and then Dallas will veto LA's. So they're forced to play on the Dallas. So it's like it's a lose-lose.
Nothing you can really do in that situation about
Yeah,
that. Yeah, that's tough. I mean,
that's
obviously,
how it works. So
But-
it does make sense.
and that's a tough spot, because I don't know how
Mhm.
many other alternatives they have other than creating another server in a more
Yeah.
centralized location for you guys, or for any of the teams. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of unfortunate. We've seen this throughout the year. Again, heading into champs, what is one thing that your team as a whole is focusing on and improving in this last couple of weeks before the big tournament?
Improving. I mean, there's always room for improvement. I think our biggest problem, and it's been for like a couple of events now, is more or less, I don't know, like, I want to say composure, ice. You know, like lots this weekend against Paris anyway. We lost 2 round 11s. Both of them maps. They're both of them S&Ds. We should have won way before that. You know, one of them was 4-1 up. The other one was 5-3 up. Like we were throwing at one point, and that comes and like I said, composure. It literally come like them losses come down to people like somebody not listening, or somebody like literally someone not listening. That's mainly what it come down to, and I feel like that's our biggest problem at the minute is more like comms, communication, and if we get that down to a tier, I feel like we could definitely do it.
Well, hey, dude, thank you so much for taking the time out of your evening to join us on the show. We wish you nothing but the best, and the boys going into champs to enjoy this week off, enjoy the time, recoup, get the facial hairs in sync. All right, get it on. That's the secret. You get your facial hair in sync, and you'll win champs. I believe in you.
Thank you for having me as well.
All right,
thanks, dude. Really appreciate you. You guys are awesome.
See ya.
All the best.
No worries. Take care.
And there you have it. There is Wuskin from the London Royal Ravens. Wuskin? You be decider. No, good dude. I've never had a chance to talk to him. He always seems pretty chill. And I would say he's pretty darn chill.
No, he was. He was like, it was just an entertaining conversation. He was having fun with it, and he gave real answers, which you always appreciate. That it didn't sound like PR talk, right? Like he genuinely, seemed to want to discuss some of these topics that we brought up with him.
Yeah. The one thing that blew my mind is when he mentioned, you asked like, who's your underdog, right, going into the champs, and he gave Optic.
Well, the two new pickups have shown to do really well, right? And anytime you have like new people on the lineup, that makes you a little bit more unpredictable. Slasher's one of the best ARs to ever play the game. So they have some talented players, but yeah, definitely a surprise pick. Like do not go to Thrive and put your free $10 on Optic to win it.
Yeah, underdog pick. People confuse an underdog pick for the favorite pick. Underdog is someone that you probably think is going to lose, but maybe they could surprise people.
They have an outside surprise chance for sure.
I wonder too, because we even talked to him. It is crazy to think we're one event away from the regular season of this Call of Duty to being done. Now, for a lot of these guys, now I know everyone's in champs. I get that, Anuj. I understand every team makes it to the dance. That doesn't mean every team is in the same mindset, right? Like, I would have to imagine the mindset of Dallas and FaZe and these top tier guys going into champs is a tad different than the hoorah Seattle or LA Gorillas. Like, those two teams are entering way different mindsets, thinking, I guess we're here. It's cool, but
they're thinking, let's not get last place so we can come out of here with some money. Like, make this somewhat
get last two.
Yeah, do not get last two. Let's walk out with a little bit of money in our pocket and call it a day. And it didn't change much after this weekend, unfortunately, for those teams. I thought, you talk about being 1 week or one event away from the end of the year, and like it's like a bittersweet, because as a fan, I've enjoyed watching this Call of Duty, right? Like it's not a bad viewing experience. I think what's been bad is knowing the frustrations that the players are dealing with on the back end, like Wuskin kind of discussed, right? Like just how tough it's been for them, how unwilling CDL has been to like accommodate, like do some of the basic things that you've always seen, like decency things in terms of people getting disconnected and restarting a match, or there's just several instances of similar situations. The ping on the servers, like these are all the issues that the players are dealing with that we don't necessarily see on screen. So like I've enjoyed this iteration of Call of Duty as a viewing experience, but I am ready to like move on because I do want to see the players happy ultimately, and they're just not.
And I want to make one thing clear too, that it doesn't matter what Call of Duty comes out. Some of the issues just aren't going to be fixed, right? If you're playing online, you will never, put it in big bold letters, you will never get rid of people complaining about ping issues and unfairness to server location. unless you're just going to put every team in a bubble like they're doing for the Overwatch League finals, right? For that exact reason, they want all the final teams playing on the same server to avoid this. You're not going to have that, right? You have a team in Dallas, you have a team in LA.
You would have to have like legitimately a server in every state, and then based on who's playing,
Like,
pick it.
like
Geography, like, hey,
figure it out.
this is in the middle. They're both 800 miles away from this server,
Yeah.
and so unless something like that happens, this is the beauty of
Which,
LAN,
you
guys.
know,
Like,
if
this
you
is why
wanna-
LAN is missed. As
Yeah.
a fan, again, we don't see all these little things, but you're also not seeing the 100% like best peak performance from anybody,
Well,
not because of them.
And Wuskin even said it, right? Where it's like, hey, this game to me felt the best. Like, this felt close to Modern Warfare 4, right?
Yeah.
Like, this felt like one of the better Call of Duties as far as feel goes on LAN. So it is a shame that if you're having player opinions like that we do have to play through an online season. But, you know, we've said it 1,000 times. That's the way 2020 goes. That's just the way it is this year. So, but for people who are saying like, oh, this Modern Warfare is the worst because of this, and that. You think GAs are just going to all of a sudden disappear? Do you think the next Call of Duty is just going to be perfectly balanced and players aren't going to complain about something and then GA it? No, the system itself is broken. And it was nice to hear that it's not just us. It's not just Anuj and I complaining about this. It's even with players within don't like the system, but they also know that if you complain about it, you're going to get blacklisted. So you're almost bullied
Which
into
even
agreeing.
that, hey, if you're listening, you're a COD pro. Look, there's a lot of people that feel like you, right? There's a lot of people that are not willing to blacklist you for going against something you don't believe in. So I do hope like the senior leadership steps up a little bit and forces this
Yeah.
issue. The problem is I think the seniors are the ones that are in charge.
Well, I
a lot
think
of
it's
the
also
time, and-
crazy that Wuskin even said, like, yeah, we weren't part of that decision. So you're telling me a team doesn't have any representation into a GA decision? That's maddening to me. Like,
Yeah.
that almost seems like collusion worthy, to where it's like the league needs to figure this out.
It can't be run by a handful of people, and that's what it seems to
This
be
is a
at the
mess.
moment.
This is a mess. I thought the Counter-Strike Players Association was a mess. This sounds like a mess.
This sounds like it could use the CSPPA.
Which not a lot of people could say that, but here we are. Though I did think London was a very interesting weekend. It answered almost no questions that we had going into it because some of the teams, but again, I don't know these last two events, given that they were some of the teams' last weekends, I don't know how much stock I put into it. Like teams like New York, we said it last show, like they're kind of where they're at. Win or lose this event, they weren't breaking into the top 4, and they're not dropping out of the mid seeding. So it was almost like a dead weekend for them. I mentally, I guess you can never say like, oh, they don't want to win. Of course they want to win, but realistically, how much, right?
Yeah, like what you don't want to do if you're New York is go out with back-to-back 3-0 defeats, right? So yeah, like you may not come in first. Ideally, you're making the playoffs, right? I think that's like at least the goal is let's get in, give ourselves a chance. But to walk out of here with back-to-back 3-0 defeats, one by Dallas and Paris, ultimately the two people that were in the finals, that's what you want to avoid. Like that's a heartbreaker because now you're having to build up momentum just so quickly after coming off of a win, right? Like you come off of a win in your homestand and then you get punched in the face. Like that's never an easy thing to do. So that's what they wanted to avoid. Ultimately, that's what happened to them. And I think they have to regroup. Like, are they even playing actually? Next week I should.
No, they're
have
not.
The list
No,
up.
their season.
Okay.
Their season's over.
Done. Yeah. So I mean,
that's what I'm saying. Like how how much do they care, knowing that, like how does momentum really build up, right? Like if they did a performance last weekend in London, like how much momentum's even carrying over to champs, right? I guess winning always feels good, but we've seen New York perform a lot better than what they did this weekend. I don't think if you're a New York fan, I would not start raising the panic flag going into champs. I think you're still feeling pretty good, especially because the teams around them, like aren't performing that great either. Like look at Florida. They're top 4 in the league. Everyone's talking about, whoa, watch out for Florida, watch out for Florida. Well, this weekend they didn't look completely stellar. Like, yeah, you make it to semis, but looked abysmal against Dallas. Like, really, really, really bad against the Empire. Now, I think the Empire is the best team in the league. I think they're for sure my number 1 seed going into champs, regardless of what happens in the next event. But I think this, either between 1 and 4, is like eons away in skill gap, or Florida just was really bad.
Yeah, no, like Florida looked okay. Like, granted, they beat Optic twice, so that doesn't, it's the same team 2 times who's kind of a bottom feeder there. And
Yeah,
you
and
only
one of those
lost
games
that
took
one
it to a
game
game
against
5.
Dallas, right? Like, they've shown to be able to win events. So I think Florida also should probably feel pretty good. Like, I wouldn't be highly concerned if I were them. I think you're right about Dallas, right in a sense. Right now, Dallas is the number 1 seed based on how they've played, the number of events they've won. Next week could potentially change that outlook a little bit just because the top 4 teams are in it. Like, that helps, right? I think the person that wins that event, should it be one of those 4, then does carry over that momentum that we were talking about earlier going into champs. They'll have the number 1 seed most likely going into champs. So, like, all of that will matter a little bit, but I think Dallas mentally should be prepared. They should feel like they're the best team.
Yeah.
Right? Regardless if they win or lose, they should feel that.
Like, and I
Outside
think so
perspective
too.
might be different.
Apart from like early in the season, where Dallas just did awful like the first week, they've really, to me, kind of been that most consistent where they just seem to be getting better with each event. Like with Florida, they shut them down on what's that one map? I forgot the name. Piccadilly.
Yep.
Piccadilly. That they destroyed them in Search and Destroy on that map. Florida didn't know. Look, Florida, if you guys are listening, I'm not a pro gamer, but if there's 2 rules in life, when you cross the street, you check both ways, and when you enter in a room, you check your goddamn corners. I cannot tell you how many times in Search and Destroy I saw Florida just whip around, and this is how you know Dallas was in their heads, right? When you have players whipping around corners and not checking corners, and they just think, I just have to get from point A to point B and just think I'm invincible and no one's going to touch me, it's because they're panicking. They're in a rush. So that's how I knew Dallas was in Florida's head in the semis, because they looked like complete trash. Like I said, if I was a Florida fan, I'd be a little bit irked by how we ended the weekend. Yeah, you got to semis, which again, it's weird complaining about. It's weird to say you should be a little concerned, but they looked rough.
Yeah, Dallas has looked good against everybody except for FaZe. Like, that's the only team all year that they really have not been able to like overcome that hurdle.
I think
And so FaZe is like, they might have beat them once, but they've been a roadblock for them consistently, right? Even with reverse sweeps, like things we haven't seen from Dallas all year outside of really the first event. And even in that event, it was just Chicago that gave them a tough time.
Yeah, they beat them back in Chicago.
But overall, FaZe has kind of had Dallas as number, I feel like, throughout the season. So that's their one, team that they have to focus on. Against everybody else, though, man, Dallas looks unstoppable. Like, you talk about when SMGs are leading the overall KD for your team, that's impressive, because generally that's held for AR players based on positioning and how the game is kind of played. These, again, we talked about it so many times, but like Hook, Illy, Shotzi, like Shotzi is an MVP candidate, if not the MVP of the league right now. All 5 of Dallas's players this week were over a 1-0 KD. Nobody had a negative KD. They were all pretty much hovering around the 1.2 mark. just an outstanding overall performance. They made it look easy this week. Like this was an event where we talked about last week who are the teams that could give them some struggle, right? And we a couple of teams came to mind right off the bat. Florida, because they've won 3 events, so obviously you have to include them in the mix. New York, because they had played well, just a week ago. And then we said, hey, you know what? Maybe like Paris or London because it's their homestand, and we've seen the homestand team kind of like show up, which I think London did. They played really well throughout
I mean,
the
you lost
weekend.
in a game 5. Like who?
Yeah, you lost the game 5 in the semifinals. You played great. Like you can walk out feeling good. Dallas made it look easy though. I mean, they were clean sweeping people left and right. Their last 3 matches of the tournament were all 3-0 sweeps, and their first one was a 3-1. So if you're Dallas, you understand where you're at in this league. And now your goal is purely on that $2 million mark. Like, keep your form. You got one more week. I would love to see them beat FaZe next week to have like that statement going into champs and really like making them the favorite going into champs. I do think if you lose next week to a team like FaZe, in my mind, FaZe would be like the #1 overall seed just because they've had Dallas's number. I agree. The
Yeah,
consistency
that
for
might be
Dallas
the
has been there,
only
but
thing that it's just the other losses FaZe has had, right, is worse
it's
than the losses Dallas has had.
it's like beating the hardest team in the semifinals and losing your focus going into the
Yeah.
championship game. We see that all too often in traditional sports. That's carrying over here as well for esports, right? Like they overcome what they consider to be their toughest matchup, and then it's like they let off a little bit for whatever reason. So, I can see both sides of it, but I do think it's like important that they get a statement win for themselves heading into champs.
And it's funny that you mentioned that because looking at next week for Toronto, these groups are stacked. Like, I know you didn't know this, schedule makers, when you set this up at the beginning of the year, but Group B, my God, has Atlanta, Minnesota, which, okay, what Minnesota are we going to get, right?
We're not getting a good minute. We're getting the Minnesota that we've seen for the last 8 events. Like they're
Florida,
gone. Hmm.
and then Dallas. With Group A, you have Toronto, Seattle, Optic Gaming, and then Chicago. So, like you said, like these guys next week in Group B, they're gonna wear themselves out by the time they make it to semis.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you're hoping to see. You're not going to see them all, right? You're not going to see all top
No,
four in the semis. So you expect to see Chicago there, and then between Dallas, Florida, and Atlanta, they're going to be duking it out. I think for Florida, it's a little nerve wracking, probably walking into next week and being like, "Oh shit, the team that just 3-0 stomped us. That's our first matchup, possibly sending us into the losers bracket right off the bat."
well, and I think that's a lot, right? I think the storyline next week for Florida, like I think there's a lot weighing on that going into champs because they have performed extremely well. They're one of the only 2 teams this year that have 3 wins, but they're still looked at as the underdogs in that top 4, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Look at fan bases are just bigger for
yeah, maybe that's
you know.
why, because like even like Chicago might be on the same level as Florida as far as expectations go, at least in my book, but they're still just kind of known as, oh yeah, well you won 3 in a row, so maybe you're the #1, maybe you're the best team in the league. Imagine any other team in this league winning 3, and then someone questioning that, right? Florida definitely doesn't get the respect they probably deserve. But that being said, next week is kind of going to be where they earn it or lose it, depending on which way it goes.
It's funny because that's the damn truth for them, right? Like you're going into a week where you have 3 rings under you,
Yeah.
and you're sitting here showing that you belong. It's still at this point in the season, and hey, that means the season, in my mind, has been successful, right? We're this late into the year. We're still trying to figure out who the best team is, and not because of lack of competition. It's because the competition's so stiff at the top. I think that in itself shows that it's been successful from an esports standpoint. From again, keeping us captivated at least throughout the season. Whether you like the game or not, um, that's a different story. The flaws that are there for CDL, that's a different story, but it's been entertaining. Like, it's been really entertaining, and it's not stopping going into the last week. And then talk about champs hype. Like, we've never had a TCR episode dedicated to like Call of Duty in general. Like, it's always been like a topic piece, but never a full on show. Champs is gonna have its own damn show building leading
Yeah.
up to it.
Oh, definitely. I can't
Like,
wait till after Toronto and we get to kind of just recap the season and do our champs preview. And because
I'm stoked for all that stuff coming up.
After next week, after this weekend, we'll know the seeding, we'll know the lineups, we'll know who's playing who and when, and it's go time now. So honestly, I'm excited for Toronto, but I'm kind of more excited for it to be over. I want to know. I know who's the top 4. I guess I'm excited to see who's top 2, but I want to see this champs bracket. I want to see the bottom half.
The bottom half's just as exciting. Dude, they made it exciting to see who gets 11th and 12th. How the hell do you pull that off? By making it $0. Like, I'm intrigued to see who the bottom feeders are, and I'm sure as hell intrigued to see who's walking out
It almost
with the payday.
Almost has the same effect like with EPL and relegation. Even though no team is getting relegated, you're getting no money while your coworkers are walking away with, like, what's first place?
$2 million for first place.
It's like, wow, imagine that. Like, one team is walking away with $2 million, and then the other team's walking away with nothing.
I can't wait to see all the new Yeezy purchases, Rolexes. Like, these guys are going to be clean AF going into next season, whoever the winning team is. Like, they're going to be styling and profiling real hard.
Yeah, looking forward to it. That being said, we already know at least where one team is locked in for champs, and that's LA Gladiators. So, sorry, Prong Attack. The one listener that I know is an LA Gladiator fan. Your team is officially last place. So
yeah, Seattle's not going to be moving up. We can just leave them there too. I mean, I know we didn't talk about this, but obviously Octane was super vocal this week, and so I would love to see that team find a way to bounce back, but I don't see it happening. Like, I keep telling myself, they got the talent, but you could pretty much lock them into last place.
I think they've been done for a while. I think they have just mentally been checked out. So when you have like the one player that is known as the GOAT for Call of Duty, and then you force him into retirement because he's so salty about the game, probably not the best locker room.
No, not at all.
Probably not the best atmosphere to be around if you're in a pissy mood. So there you have it. Anyways, London was great. Toronto is coming up this week. We will have that, and probably not have like we'll schedule champs and all that, but you know it. You can count on us to do a big champs preview.
Might even be a champs viewing party possibly while it's live. Might be hard to do a casting couch for it, but could be doing a
in Discord or something. Little something going on here. So definitely, I'm down for that. Get a few matches in on the schedule and do that. Maybe we can replace that with a community night. Who knows? We'll figure it out. But make sure you're in Discord first and foremost, because that's probably where we'll post it first thing. So join our Discord if you're not in that, so you can know when the watch party's going on. Let's get into some e-news, though, because there's quite a bit to get to here. In CSGO, per sources, everyone's favorite catchphrase in esports, Lekro in discussions to potentially sign with Mad Lions after they drop the bench, or drop or bench, however you want to look at it. How do you say that name?
Bubsky is what I've been saying, but that's probably wrong. That was a controversial drop to begin with because Mad Lions was sitting there in the top 15 at the time. He was doing fine, so that was a shocking drop. But this would be a good pickup. Lekro, although you can't say proven winner because NIP had like limited success, they were like always a competitive team with him as the captain. So, I think that would give them a little bit of stability and whatnot. So. We'll see if it happens. It's got to happen still.
And the obvious has been stated, but ESL Cologne has officially announced that they are moving back to online. Of course, they were the ones holding out that glimmer of hope that maybe, just maybe, the players can get there and do a LAN event between the players and have no crowd. Issue is, I don't think they thought about how they got there. So that idea was nixed when, most of the
They
planet...
forgot everyone wasn't local.
Yeah, when most of the planet is banning North Americans for getting there, kind of an issue. Or maybe it's not with the way NA Counter-Strike has been playing.
Do you want to see it go online, like the split that's going to end up being now, NA-EU side?
I hate the split. I don't mind the online format of tournaments, but I despise the split.
No, that's what I'm talking about. Like with the way it's going to be,
Yeah.
obviously, with the split.
Um,
Do you prefer? Just cancel it, or
no,
I guess
you
we'll
know
make
what? And
Twitch
people, I saw
revenue and
people
all
like,
that.
oh, it shouldn't be called Cologne because it's disrespecting. Stop being so dramatic. Who cares if they call it Cologne and it's not in Cologne and it's not the normal tournament? That's just being dramatic. If you're
It would
having
be
a major...
boring if everything was called online tournament number 1, online tournament number
Yeah.
2. Like that
Look,
would be.
if they can do the international, if they can do the major online, they can do Cologne. Okay, let's calm down on that one. It is what it is. Am I excited for it? No. Am I in love with the idea? No. But again, it's just 2020. It's.
Yeah.
I've conceded. I admit defeat, Corona. I will watch split leagues in Counter-Strike. Not the most
Well,
exciting, but on
Other
the
big
bright
news out
side,
of
though,
ESL, Tim.
on the
Oh.
bright side to that, Anuj, I can put in a TCR lock of the tournament that an NA team will win Cologne this year.
Just can't be Cloud9.
But an NA team.
An NA team will win Cologne this year, so that's good. That's exciting. Good for them. X-Team 3D member Torble, longtime 3D member Torble, has been announced as co-CEO of ESL. So, pretty incredible story, right? You're going from a competitive online gamer to now being the CEO of one of the biggest, premier tournament leagues in the world. So, congratulations to him, and for Team 3D continuing to stay relevant, baby.
Somehow they're managing it. They're making it happen. Exciting news for League of Legends fans. Your boy Tim ended up watching 2 matches this weekend.
Wow.
So
How was it?
there you go. I even watched an Overwatch League game. So I think I had a lot of free time on me or something, because I watched League of Legends and Overwatch in one weekend. So of course I only watched Cloud9. I watched both their games. Of course, the first match I really truly ever sit down to watch in my life, they lose. So that felt about right. I was like,
Fitting.
oh,
Yeah.
this feels like home. This feels like the
I know
Cloud9
what
I
this
know.
is.
Yeah, I'm used to this. But then they ended up winning the next one, so it was great. So there's that.
What did you enjoy watching more, League or Overwatch League?
Well, I truly didn't know what was going on in League. So I guess Overwatch, because I at least knew what was going on. The argument that Overwatch is difficult to watch because you don't know what's going on, I feel like is made by people who don't play Overwatch, which you can literally make for almost any esport out there that you don't play on the regular. So I don't like that argument, but I truly had no idea what was going on in League. Like not
abilities
a clue.
wise, you understand the concept.
Well, I
obviously, of the
understand,
game.
yes. One team is pushing the other and things like that, but it's like I was lost most of the time. So the announcers got excited, I got excited, and sometimes I felt like Cloud9 was winning, but then they were like, Cloud9's in trouble, and I'm like, whoa. What happened?
Fair enough. Fair enough.
What happened? But there you go. Fun fact, they did avoid their first time. They avoided since 2018 losing, going 0-2 in a weekend. So that's kind of nuts. They haven't got 0-2.
They haven't been 0-2 since 2018. That's impressive.
Like in one weekend. Yeah, they haven't
Yeah,
lost both
yeah.
their weekend games. Yeah. So there you go. There. Little fun fact for you. In Call of Duty. In Overwatch League.
Oh yeah, sorry.
In Overwatch League, Baby Bay has officially retired. Of course, he did this weird announcement like a couple weeks ago after
Yeah.
the summer smash or whatever they called it, saying like,
He
"Oh,
basically announced it then.
yeah, like yeah, that was great. Might be my last event. Haven't decided." It's like very weird. Well, he has decided now. So, he's out.
He didn't mention going to another game, I don't believe, did he?
No, not anything in particular. Now, common sense tells you Valorant, but he might just be stepping away. I don't know. He might be working with the league too. He's a handsome Caucasian man, and if there's one thing the Overwatch League loves, is a handsome Caucasian man. So he could probably easily get a desk job there if he wanted to. But yeah, I don't know. It's another one. It was another weird one where like the league and everywhere on Twitter was, saying very nice things about him, but in the grand scheme of things, didn't do much.
Yeah.
Didn't do much. You want to handle some of this Valorant news?
Yep. In Valorant news, we got, so recently there were 2 players, Fox and Week, who were playing for ASMR, sure enough, being the team name. They were playing in the Nerd Street Gamers Open that they have for Valorant. They placed 3rd place. There were cheat accusations going around. Well, eventually, they got banned. Now, you ask, why are we talking about these teams? Well, or these players? They had recently signed him with Echo 8, who is going to be playing in the PAX event that's coming up. They announced their retirement today from the game after the cheating ban, which always... It's funny. Like, I just don't...
I love
okay,
the,
sure.
I got caught cheating, so I'm retiring. Thank you for the memories. Twit longer afterwards.
Like, thank you for everything. I'll keep you guys
can't
close in heart.
fire me. I quit. That's what that's
Well,
about.
A Riot, a Riot dev who focuses on the anti-cheat side, even commented on the post, and it was just pretty funny to see that whole thing kind of develop. But yeah, 2 cheaters both announced their retirement, so good for them. In bigger news, literally, Big has announced their entrance into Valorant, Tim. And this is big for a couple of reasons, because obviously just another big European team getting into the mix, not surprising. Gob B will be leading the charge on that team. And for those of you asking, who is Gob B? Well, Gob B is like a legendary Counter-Strike 1.6 player. He has also obviously played CSGO, not considered a top tier player there, but good. Good. Not one of the best, but like a very good CSGO player. 1.6 legend though, like legit legend in 1.6. So he's making the move over. We talked about this last week with FNS, Tim. I think it's great to have people like him join into Valorant because they bring in so much leadership ability and the ability to formulate strategies. It's going to make that better for viewing experience. And so excited for him, excited for the big organization getting into Valorant and going big right off the bat.
And he's been with that org since 2017.
Forever.
So, I mean, it makes perfect sense. It's good to see that he can kind of keep with it. He's seen that he's comfortable with. So I'm excited for it. I had a soft spot for him with CS, so I'm excited. Did you already mention Complexity enters Valorant?
No, hometown team of Dallas, Complexity, entering Valorant, came in with a full lineup. It's not one of these like we signed 1 or 2 players and we're working around it. They do have a full lineup ready to go, and you'll see them in events soon.
So there's that. In other news, in Twitch news, I should say, Logic, a rapper, for those who don't know, has retired from rapping and signs a 7-figure deal with Twitch to be a streamer. So very out of left field. Like I don't know why this would have been on my radar, but it's the first time that I can remember someone outside of the gaming world signing a deal like this with a gaming platform.
2 things here. Why do you got to retire being a rapper to be a Twitch streamer? Like that shows how much dedication he's got to it. You could do both, you would think. Like you could write some lyrics while you're streaming a little bit,
you don't
if you
get
wanted
trending
to.
on Twitter if you just sign with Twitch. Now you get double trending because you retired.
Double trending. And hey, it works. He's all over the place.
When
so
he comes back to rapping, it's even bigger.
it's all like all his songs are about Fortnite.
Hey, you laugh.
Do you like the signing? I've seen both sides, so I'm kind of curious to see what you think.
What do you think?
I'm okay with it. Like personally, I don't care.
I don't mean ultimately at the end of the day, I don't care. You're right.
Yeah, like
I'm not gonna
in the
watch
sense it didn't get me heated. It's like, oh my god, why would they give him a 7-figure deal and not another big name streamer?
It doesn't make sense to me. Like from a business standpoint, Like, I understand he's logic and I understand whatever. He's going to have, I think, amazing numbers originally to start. But I think if Twitch and all these guys and professional athletes streaming has proven anything, your name can bring in maybe 1,200 people, right? It can bring in a decent amount, but not a $7-figure worth amount. Because
there's probably other plans they have with him, though, other than like.
Of course. I mean, this
like
is a
he's
great...
going to do more to
yeah.
publicize them.
Of course. But like, as far as a streamer goes,
yeah,
I don't...
Like, I thought from a business standpoint, it could make sense. I wasn't sitting there thinking like, what a shitty signing. Like, why did they get this singer to come and be a Twitch streamer? Well, look, he's a gamer. He plays a lot of games, obviously. He said it himself. And he'll probably do some fun stuff. He'll be at these events. Like, he's probably going to be better music at now. What is it? TwitchCon? Like, might be more entertaining if he's doing it instead of some of the randoms. So
it's, it's whatever. It's more mainstream, getting involved with the streaming world, which, it happens with everything.
Yeah.
People
they probably didn't need to sign him.
Oh, there you go.
Like,
Prongtack said he actually already played at TwitchCon last time. He played
did he?
at the last TwitchCon. So there you go. They're familiar. Like I said, it's whatever. I don't care. I'm not going to watch them. I'm not one of these people that are like, oh, man.
No.
Like, there are plenty of Detroit Lion players that stream. I'll hop in for like a minute being like, oh, you're not really entertaining and you're not good at the game. So
it's like the double whammy.
I'm going to go. So
I always laugh. I was like, why did you have to sign him? Probably was going to use your platform anyway.
Yeah.
There is no other competition. Well, Brime, but outside of them.
Got to get them from Brime. Got to stop that from happening.
Yeah.
Actually, huge breaking news. Dr. Disrespect releases a video that says absolutely nothing.
It really did give it great music. I enjoyed the music.
A little bit of a hype.
But sure, like, look, at least I know he's not in trouble with the law in the way that I thought he might be.
Yeah,
that's been put to bed.
Like, I really want to save it. I want to save my salt mine for when we have concrete
I want you to save
news.
It too. Yeah.
When we have
just know,
concrete news.
We know that he's probably not a pedophile and then making these videos on the side. That's probably not happening.
Unless he is just the worst human in the world. And you're a pedophile and making hype videos. That would take you to the next level of hell. But yes, safe to say it was nothing that would make someone too uncomfortable to talk about. So, in a time where people were getting in trouble for sexual assault and being a pedophile. But again, I'm going to save it. Because I want to dive into the salt mine, but it's the end of the show, Anuj. And if you get me going now on this topic, we're just going to go on all night. So I'll let you take this last one.
FaZe Clan initiated, so Greg's Selko.
Sure.
You tell me how to pronounce that either way. Departed FaZe Clan back in January. The rumors for his departure were that basically a diversity issue within the org, which I would like a little bit more clarity around that. Like,
did he not support illegal gambling websites?
Yeah, like, was it that, or like there's too many white
not,
guys? Like, what are we talking about exactly?
Did he
either
have
way,
issues with drugs, and Banks was like, "No, man, like, we love cocaine here. What are you talking about?"
Like, that's the only white around here. Yeah. So, anyways, he was rumored to have left back in January because of diversity issues. It now is coming out that FaZe Clan initiated his exit. Again, this individual is the president, or was the president of FaZe Clan. He also announced this week, Tim, that he is starting his own org called XSET.
Yeah, I assume it's like
XSET. I don't know what they're gonna say. Exit? It's supposed to be exit.
I assume exit is how I would say. I in my brain, I'm calling it exit. But again, this is another one where the PR person invites us to voice chat, and then they say it, and I'm like, oh.
You know, with FaZe, dude, it's like always something. Like, it's a cool org, like in the sense they have like a cool factor appeal to them.
Oh.
But I always wonder how they function.
I wish, I've said this a million times, I wish I was ignorantly bliss on FaZe, because I would love nothing more in the world than to phase up. I really would. But my wife just texted me, am I doing the podcast? Yes, I'm doing the podcast. My wife, she just doesn't even know what's going on in the world anymore. She comes into my office.
She sees Diablo on one stream.
My wife comes into the office and goes, are you doing the podcast? I mean, does she not know what the #1 podcast looks like? I'm confused here. I lost my train of thought. Yes, I've said it a million times. FaZe Clan makes it look very cool. Like, if you want to look cool, FaZe Clan will accomplish that. Now, the downside is it takes literally one Google search, and like the first 10 links are about every illegal corruption and crime that they've done to basically build up their org from. So
yeah,
and it amazes me that I feel like we're the only two people in the world of esports that constantly bring it up with no shame. Like, I feel like other people just don't want to poke that bear, but I have no problem. Like,
it's just like, it blows my mind that, again, they function at such a high level, get these huge investments, but then you see the people they're surrounded by and the number of bad choices that seem to consistently be made. And it's like,
I would love to have Banks on the show, because I feel like he's open enough to where we could honestly just straight up ask him, like, so you just straight up ignore the gambling scandal? Like, how does this work in a business meeting? Like,
the thing is, I think it sucks for us because the reason we can't have blinders on is we see orgs close up, like Complexity, like Team Envy, and you see that it's like a legit business, right? Like, you just, the way they operate, everything about them is business. And then you see FaZe Clan, and all I think of is like
Jaeger
house
bombs,
parties, and like Adderall and whatever else they're popping over there. Like, it just blows my mind.
Yeah, different world, different. Not every org is created equal. That's for damn sure. Damn sure. All right, well, that does it for E-News. Great E-News. That will do it also for this episode of The Center Ring, aka TCR, aka your favorite esports podcast. Episode 255. It's done. It's in the books. Thank you so much for listening. If you skipped around or listened to the whole thing, love you all the same. Join us on Discord. You can find that on our Twitter at The Center Ring, and then also our website, tcr.gg. Be a part of that conversation. We'll be doing watch parties probably this weekend. I'll probably hop in to do a little viewing for Toronto. Maybe some League. Okay, you can, if you know League of Legends and you would love to explain to me what the hell is going on, I would like to understand. So hop in the Discord for that. We will be back normal schedule. So we'll be back. What is it?
Monday for you, Sunday night for us recording.
No,
Wednesday. Oh gosh, dude, the week just started.
I know.
Oh, that sucks.
I know, pushing it back.
That's
day.
killer.
But we'll
That's
be back.
killer.
We will be back Wednesday night for Thursday's episode. So get on Twitch to view that live, and we'll do all that. So for Anuj, I'm Tim. We'll see ya.